Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another bonus episode of Truth, Beer, and Consequences. This is going to be an episode where we're not going to... Well, actually, no, that's a lie. We are going to recap something. We're going to recap 2024 Beervent, the Beervent box from Higher Gravity. We are here with Jason, who is the mastermind behind every Beervent box. Has it been 6 years, 7 years?
One of those numbers.
Beervent at Higher Gravity has been going on for a very long time. It is my favorite season. It is something that we've talked to you before about pre-Beervent, like what goes into making the Beervent boxes. I thought it might be fun to do sort of a post-mortem, what is something about the 2024 Beervent box or Beervent boxes in general that you kind of learn each and every year? What are some of the fun either compliments or complaints that you guys have gotten about the boxes? Do you think you'll ever do anything different with how you do the Beervent boxes? And just kind of pick your brain on how you view the end of Beervent season. Because we're always excited going into it, but coming out of it, are you excited? Are you just relieved? Are you going, I'm never doing that again, until you start planning it for the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's always interesting every year. I was a big Scrubs fan, and I remember watching the last episode of Scrubs when, and this is not the 9th season, this is like the actual end of Scrubs, not that like fake medical school Scrubs show that they put on afterwards. But I remember watching that like black screen go at the end of Scrubs and just sitting there being like, what do I do now? And that's sometimes how I feel after Beervent, because it's something to look forward to every day, and it's not just drinking the beers, it's like getting all the text messages and all the messages on Facebook and Instagram and talking to people about what they're having, what they're liking. And then December 26th rolls around and that's just gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's preparing for Beervent. That October, November time frame is always pretty stressful because that's like our busiest time of the year at the bar. And we've got beer events to put together. So that is super stressful. But once they're put together and once most of the people have them in their hands, that stress is gone, and now it's just fun. So so now
you start planning June, July-ish. So it's not just October when all of a sudden it's okay. Now we have to figure out Beervent. You start the planning for it well in advance.
I bet it's earlier than that in some aspects, right?
Yeah, in a lot of aspects, we're thinking about it as soon as it's done. So we're already talking to different breweries and distributors about hey, here's some ideas for next year and that kind of thing. Most of it's pretty light before then. But that October, November timeframe is like when most of the work gets done. That's when we're getting all the flat cardboard and having to put all the boxes together, because we do put all those boxes together by hand.
Yep.
Just sitting here taping all these boxes up and basically like jigsawing
the inserts
together and putting them all in and getting paper cuts all over the place. So
the cardboard cuts, those are the worst.
Yeah.
Those are terrible.
Yeah, and it's not even just the cuts too. It's like the cardboard just dries your hands out so bad, so you're just constantly swimming in hand lotion and stuff. So doing that, and then all the beers start coming in, and you have to take all the pack techs off. We got to hide them around the store because we don't have storage space anywhere. And meanwhile, there's the unique beers that we brew for it. And so we get to go out and brew that. And that part's really fun, but it's also really stressful because it's like trying to fit into the brew schedule at those breweries and handle all the other stuff that we're already doing anyway. So as fun as that is, it's also just really hard to manage the schedules for that. So yeah, those 2 months are the biggest months for it, the hardest months for it. And then once that's done, from there, it's just kicking back, drinking beer, and talking about it with everybody who's being a part of it and joining in.
Accidentally ordered multiple Beervent boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, has this been the first year that you had? And I guess maybe I should step back a few paces from that. After the 2023 Beervent season, I think it was a few days afterwards, you would send out an email saying, "Hey, if you want to go ahead and pre-order next year's, while it's still December, very early January, we'll give you 2023 pricing for the 2024 box." And then I'm not sure how many people did that, but I'm like, that sounds great. I won't have to remember to do this. And then you did the typical pre-sale starting in July. And I had asked one of the bartenders, I'm like, hey, I literally don't remember and I can't find my email about it. did I already buy one of these or not? And he's like, nope, doesn't look like you did. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me go ahead and buy one. I ended up with 2 boxes, which I do not need 2 boxes. But apparently that happened to more than just me. Was this the first year that you had, I don't want to say a bunch, but a decent number of accidental duplicate orders to deal with?
I've never dealt with that before.
Really? Okay.
We didn't think that was going to be a problem, right? So
Neither did I.
every year since we've been doing this, the cardboard prices have gone up. Now, that 2023 to 2024, we had a heads up from our supplier, like, hey, these are going up a lot. So since the start of this, the price of cardboard has more than doubled, probably almost close to tripling. But at that point, he had told us, hey, just heads up for next year, it's going to be going up a lot.
Okay.
So because we already knew that, we told everyone, like, hey, this is going to be going up. And, you know, with beer prices going up, with cardboard skyrocketing the way that it has, we are going to have to raise prices, which I hate doing. And the main reason I hate doing that is, like, these Beervent boxes, yeah, we make a little bit of money off of them, but like, for us, this is part marketing, part fun, and this is just something we want to get into as many hands as possible. And so keeping the cost down as low as we can while still providing a premium product is essential to making sure people can still afford to buy it. So knowing that the price was going up, we had sent that email out on like December 25th of 2023 and said, hey, prices are going to be going up. We're going to lock in prices. So if you order before the end of January, you can lock in the previous year price. We have no idea actually how much it's going to go up until we get into it in our pre-sale in July. So lock in before the end of January at 2023 prices. And a bunch of people, and it wasn't like a crazy amount sold at that point, but quite a few people bought in December, January. And then we had our normal pre-sale in July. So we didn't even realize it until people started coming to pick up their boxes.
Right.
And a couple of those people came in to pick up box, and it was like, oh, you have 2 line items here.
Did you order 2 boxes?
Did you order 2? And like the first person I had that was like, yeah, I bought one for me, and then my friend decided they wanted one too, so I got that as a present. Cool.
All right.
All right. So that explains all the duplicates in here, because I had seen those duplicates when I was running it. So I was just like, oh, yeah, must have been a bunch of people doing that. And then the second person that came in, they were like, I didn't order 2. And so then I had to go back, and I was like, okay, here's what happened. You ordered in January. You forgot you ordered.
Yep.
And then you ordered another one in July. And most of those people were like you, where they're like, I don't want 2 boxes. What am I going to do with 2 boxes?
Well, it's not necessarily that I didn't want 2 boxes. I'm just, I don't need 2 boxes. And I'm going, if you have someone else you can get this to, cool, let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of those guys, like, he didn't take both boxes. He left one. He was like, all right, let me know if I actually paid for it. We emailed him, and then like 20 minutes later, he was back. He was like, fuck yeah, I'm having both. So
nice. So it was,
I mean,
so it worked out for him.
That doesn't sound that crazy to have 2 beers in a night.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you really, really enjoyed one, then you have another one, especially for some of these beers that they don't exist outside of this Beervent box.
I mean, you can find something to do with another one.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I would think.
Absolutely. So I guess 2 things on that, kind of going back to the price of cardboard for that. You don't like raising prices, but I feel like it would probably be especially hard to try to explain, well, it costs more because the price of cardboard has risen versus the price of making the beer and getting the beer. Like, those are 2, to me, vastly different products that someone coming in for an alcoholic purchase. But why do I care what you pay for cardboard? I'm not buying the cardboard, I'm buying the beer.
I don't think it's that hard of a sell in the sense of, just from one year to the next, 2023 to 2024, any increase in price, just saying, hey, cost increases, everyone would go, yeah, I get it. I mean, whether it's cardboard, whether it's the beer, whether it's, the actual procuring of whatever it is, I don't know. It just, it seems like at this point we're all kind of desensitized to the fact that, we expect everything to be a little bit more expensive. However, I think a question going into 2025 is, do you see prices leveling out as this year goes along?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a good thing to bring up. So it's not just cardboard going up; it's the beer, it's our staff costs because there's a lot of staff time going into this. And Nick and I try to mitigate that as much as we can by doing a lot of the work ourselves. So it's not incurring more staff hours, but we still have a lot of help from our staff to be able to put these together. And then, Marco, to your question, I hope things are starting to level out, but we really won't know for sure until we start really digging back into it in July.
Minimum wage went up too in Ohio.
Yeah. But as far as like the cardboard goes, they didn't give us a heads up this year that, hey, we know it's coming. So I'm hoping that's a good sign. And then we're really trying to push the box recycling program where people are bringing back the boxes and the inserts and stuff. That helps us to mitigate a lot of the costs. If we had to buy every box again, these prices would 100% go up. Last year, I think we were able to recycle about 200 boxes.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
So it was a good amount. I would like to see a lot more of that, not just from a cost perspective, which again is like big because I want people to be able to afford this and be able to. I really would like to lower the price next year. But as much waste as we can eliminate in general, the better. We always try to be pretty environmentally conscious as much as we can around here. So if we can eliminate that waste too, that's great. But
and I mean, you give a $5 voucher for returning the box. I mean, you're getting, depending on what beer you're getting, a free pint or close to it, depending on, again, what the way prices are anymore. So there's kind of no reason not to bring the box back, but...
Yeah, I mean, one of those boxes I know ended up in Montana, so like if they don't bring theirs back, I get it. But
could be, hey, can you FedEx that back to us? Just flatten it out, send it to us. That'll be great. That'll be great. With the Beervent box exclusive beers that you make with a handful of the local breweries, have you either learned or have you kind of figured out the kinds of beers you want each place to make? Like, do you always have... Let me reword that. Do you always want or try to ask, say, Westside to make something that is a traditional style because Westside does that very well versus, say, Streetside, who does a great job with their New England IPAs, and you kind of always want to see if they can make something like that or their, coffee blondes, that type of thing? Or do you just say, hey, I have a couple of ideas, and you let the breweries go with whatever they want to do in the years that you've been doing this? Any trends?
In general, I try to let the breweries just do whatever they want and whatever they want to push. Now, like this year, Streetside was kind of an exception because they had wanted to do a Return of the Mac variant. And I was like, hey, guys, we did that 3 years in a row. Can we just switch up the style a little bit? But other than that, we generally kind of let them do whatever they want to do, and a lot of it comes down to, hey, what's on my brewing schedule? Because some of those unique beers are just variants of a beer they're already brewing on the schedule, just to make it pretty flexible for them. So I try not to give them too much guidance or pushback in that sense, and they're always the first beers that I know. So once I know their styles, that's when I start to go out into distribution to try and figure out what else can slot in and what other styles I need to fill. So they usually get their first pick.
Was there any unique story maybe with, like as an example, BC's? Because BC's was a newer brewery from this past year, and they canned 3 beers right before the Beervent box, and one of the beers made it in. Was there anything unique there, or were they planning a canning on their schedule already, and it just sort of kind of fell into place?
That one pretty much fell into place. And Marco, you've been in the industry long enough. You kind of know how it works. Like Caleb was sitting at the bar when he was looking at his schedule, and he was like, "Hey, do you guys have space? We might be canning a beer right around the time you guys are packing these. Could I get a beer in there?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Nice.
And that's how that worked.
Did that bump another beer off of the list of what you already wanted to put into that? No? Okay.
No. So it just, again, the timing worked out well enough, and I had not fully developed the list yet at that point, so it just kind of worked out. And he was able, they knew they were going to be canning 3 different styles, so he was like, here's the 3 styles, what do you want? And so I was able to pick which one made the most sense for what I had already kind of figured out in the box so far. So as far as that goes, and that's kind of how the buying process works in the beer world sometimes. It's just like, what are we talking about, what's there, who's sitting in front of me, and what email pops up in my screen with different stuff on it at the right time. Right. I'm constantly telling our beer salespeople, like, hey, hit me up on a Monday. You want to sell me beer? Hit me up on Monday. Those people that hit me up on Tuesday, they're not going to get on my draft list because I've already filled my needs, kind of thing. So a lot of it's just timing and availability. So that's kind of how that worked out.
Other than the people that bought duplicate boxes and didn't remember buying duplicate boxes, was there anything unique about this year that you went, oh, here's something I need to keep on my radar for 2025? Or was that kind of the only, I don't want to say one learning experience because that doesn't sound right, but one thing that you're going, okay, need to be a little more mindful about X, Y, or Z?
Not so much this year, but I think it was 2 years ago, so it would have been 2022's box. We went pretty crazy with some of the stuff that went in there, so there was a lot of really off-the-wall stuff, and off the top of my head, I can't think of a name of anything, but in that year, I did have a lot of people that I saw that would post and say, oh, this was a little too much for me. So the next year, so in 2023, I kind of went back to a lot more of a traditional focus and tried to keep it less adjuncted. There's still some like adjunct stuff in there. But the last 2 years, I've tried to do more traditional styles. That way it hits a like broader array of palates for people. So there's not as many of those beers that somebody who's not, into everything craft and into everything crazy, those people are still going to like most everything in the box. So I've been doing that, and I think that's helped a lot. I've seen a lot less negative feedback since I've done that.
Speaking about evolutions of the box, I think even if we went a little bit further, didn't you have a couple of different evolutions where it was like a premium and then
there's 1 year premium and a standard box.
Standard box. And have you done any more thought into not necessarily premium or standard, but maybe adjusting it a little bit to where all those people that have FOMO after the first 2 weeks end up getting maybe a 2-week box or an opportunity to buy a box that has the same beers as everybody else, but it's just a 2-week, sort of snap to where people maybe not wanting to spend the full amount on a full box might be able to do, celebrate the last 2 weeks with everybody else.
I think my staff would kill me if they had to have another packing day. So I don't know that we would do that. We have talked about doing like because we do the Beervent in July pre-sale, we've talked about doing a Beervent in July box, whether that be 6 or 12.
Oh, okay. People kind of get an idea of, if you do this, this is kind of what...
Yeah, just like a mini version for the summertime. We've talked about doing that. Now, like logistically, we haven't really processed anything with it. And at the same time, too, we do also have what we call the HG Club, which is a mixed 6-pack every month that I personally curate for people. So if like the Beervent box is something that you have fun with and you've liked, the HG Club is like a monthly mini version of that. It's $25 a month. You can sign up on our website at highergravitycrafthouse.com.
I think the last time I looked, because I was going to shout that out at the end of, I think, last week's episode, but it said that there was only one left in stock, and I'm going, I know that you were kind of limiting the number of those, so I didn't want to say something and then it was already gone.
There's only one right now. I'm limiting it to a number because I'm trying to keep it at even cases. So I order fresh beer the week of those packs being packed each month. And it's much easier for us to manage if it's in even 24 or 48 or 72 beers, right? Because the cases are 24 in a case.
Right.
So I try to keep it even. So I have one more spot to fill to max out at that next case. Now, if I get a bunch of emails saying, hey, I'm trying to buy this, I'll open up another 24 spots.
Okay.
So definitely would love to see that grow. But it's hard to like order, 6 more cases that I'm only going to pull one beer out of, and then I got to find spots for that on the shelf.
Right. Because just like the Beervent box, those aren't beers that you're just going to find on the shelf at any random day unless you happen to have 1 or 2 extra.
Most of the time, I will bring those in exclusively just for the 6 packs, and then if I got a couple left over, I'll throw them up on the single shelf or something like that. Or some of them, I might buy an extra case to put on the shelf, but a lot of them, I'm just ordering enough to fill those packs.
And the HG Club members, they also get into Speakeasy Night, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
their bonuses, you get discounts on things like the Beervent box, on the runs that you have scheduled in the spring and in the fall. And once a quarter, you can come down to Northside, Higher Gravity Northside. They close the tap room off. It's just for HG Stein Club and the six-pack members.
Yep.
And you just get to hang out. Jason's there slinging beer and just hanging out with everyone. It's a great time.
Yeah, it's a fun way
lot
to
of fun.
just connect with a lot of people who obviously like beer. They wouldn't be in this club. So
Exactly. What has been your favorite beer, both out of the 2024 box, and were there any beers that even from maybe the first Beervent box that stand out that you go, man, that was really fun to have, and we might never see that beer again?
that is really hard for me. So me as a beer drinker, like my tastes and profiles change with the season.
Sure.
It changes with what I'm eating. So there's been so much good stuff in this Beervent box, but in all the years, so I don't necessarily have a favorite. I will say
Nothing that really just sticks out like, oh man, even if it wasn't your favorite beer, just something where maybe the responses or the reactions, just anything that really sticks out that you just have a really fond memory of a specific beer from any of the past calendars, if that makes more sense, or if that's more of a better question, maybe,
there.
or still not.
Yeah, it's still
not.
still hard. Like I had a really fun time going and brewing over at Esoteric. That was like one of the more detailed brewing days that I've had in a long time. Actually, like getting into yeast propagation and talking about reusing that and water profiles and all that kind of stuff. And first couple times I brewed with Kelly when he was back at Brink, we got into all that and I got to see all the sheets and stuff. And I will say, like, most of the time when we go brew beers at another brewery as like a guest brewer, you're kind of just standing there watching water boil. You're not really getting into recipe design. Now, sometimes we do, but most of the time it's hanging out, dump a couple things in the boil kettle or, scoop out grain and that kind of stuff. But so our Esoteric brew, that was really, I'm kind of a nerd with math and science. So seeing all that extra and getting a lot of that extra insight was awesome. So I'm kind of partial to that beer, which when we were brewing it, we did a Pfeffernusse brown ale, which
Delicious.
I had no idea what Pfeffernusse was before, like we had talked about doing the beer before brew day, and then turns out there was a National Pfeffernusse Day in December, so we had the
like, there you
can
go,
come out
perfect.
on the same day, so it
Now,
worked out.
when you looked at the cookie, did you go, oh, I know what those are, I just never knew what they were called, or did you have absolutely no idea?
It's hilarious
what that
because
was.
I still have not even looked up what a cookie looks like, so I don't know what they look like.
They look like a powdered sugar covered, like, white cookie ball.
Okay, I gotta.
You've probably seen them, and you'll probably be like, "Oh, yeah." Maybe you've never had them, but you will absolutely recognize them. There's no way that you haven't seen them
Yes,
somewhere
I've seen,
before.
yeah, I've seen these before, and I've had them.
There you go.
Because we didn't actually throw Pfeffernusse
Right.
cookies
It
in
was
there, so
the
like
spices and
the Narrow Path brew that I did with Drew, we actually threw like boxes and boxes of cookies in there. So those, yes, I've eaten plenty of those types of cookies in my life, and we threw them in there. With the Pfeffernusse, it was just all the spices and
yeah.
stuff. So I never actually saw what the cookie looked like.
Gotcha.
So
that's fun.
so yeah, I think the Esoteric one was a fun one to do. And then like coming out of the box on the last day, we had put in the Żywiec Baltic Porter.
Yes.
That is one of my favorite beers that
Now,
I've.
this was just the porter, not the Baltic porter.
No,
Mine was just the porter.
it says porter, but it is a Baltic
Oh,
porter.
because
Yeah.
normally the bottles of that I buy here, it says Baltic porter on
Yeah,
it.
I think they changed the label.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, man, that is probably one of my favorite beers here.
It is
I
such a
absolutely love that.
good beer that I think most people would never pick up off a shelf.
And I wouldn't have until you offered it during one. I think it was one of the speakeasy nights.
Yeah.
They're like, have you tried this? And I said, nope, never. I don't know if I ever noticed it on the shelf either. And now it's one of my favorite beers. So
Yeah, and then as far as like other beers too, I've been trying to get Brett to bring back Lost Alley Quad, which is a beer that we brewed over at Urban Artifact for our 1-year anniversary of our Northside store.
Yeah.
And logistically, it's kind of a pain in the ass to brew, and it doesn't really align with like the types of beers they brew anymore. So he hasn't done it. But if he's listening, I want that beer done again.
He always listens.
He always huge fan of the show.
Yeah. Number 1 subscriber.
Huge fan of Julia's.
Exactly.
Me, how it goes.
All I do is give him shit about his beer, so no.
So 2 years ago, he said he was going to do it, and then like for whatever reasons, he couldn't work it out to actually make it work to get it to us. So that would be my favorite thing to ever go in there if we can ever make that work. And the Smirnoff Ice like 3 years ago.
Oh my
if we can bring
God, that
back.
was amazing. Do you think you'll ever do another prank day? Or is it just one of those, as you're developing it, the inspiration just kind of hits to do it and maybe just didn't hit this year? Or
I would like to do it again, but it's also like,
so much fun.
do people really want another Smirnoff Ice? So if there's another beer that I can prank people with, that will probably happen again at some point. Maybe not this year. I have tried to get a brewery that does seltzers to brew a seltzer ice version to put in there, but they
it didn't work with.
They did not want to do it. So
okay.
So I've tried to prank people more.
Wasn't that when you did the premium and the standard box? No, 1 year. It was a year before that was the High Life.
No, it might have been the premium and the standard. No.
No,
The premium and the standard had a High Life in there,
and there was
or a
another
PBR.
beer. Yeah.
Yeah. So
even just something like that, like the ice was obnoxious and hilarious. It was one of those I'm going, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
But all right, well, got to do it now.
And I have really, for the past, it has been 7 years. So for the past 7 years, I've thrown around the idea of filling one box with just Bud Light.
Yes.
But I'm
yes.
And just like having a separate box ready, so once they like, or what the fuck, then I just bring them a box. Like I'll drive it to you. But I'm so worried that whoever gets that Bud Light box is going to be the one who like drove it out to Montana.
I feel like that would need to be something that you need to have an idea. Like I feel like it's probably a good number of the same people every year that get the Beervent boxes. I feel like that's something to where you have a group of 10 people that will absolutely buy the Beervent box. Out of those 10 people, that there are 3 to 5 that would get a kick out of this and be like, okay, Jason, what is up with this?
But I don't want them to get a kick out of it. I want them to be like pissed. Like this ruined my Christmas.
So you see, that ensures that I will never get the Bud Light box because I would get a kick out of it. Like I would laugh so goddamn hard every single. It's another goddamn Bud Light. And I'd love. Well, okay, saying I'd love it. I would love the humor behind it.
Right.
But then I'd be like, okay, where's the real box?
Yeah.
And then you'd give up by like day 4, and you'd be like, "Fuck this!
I can't write another goddamn parody about Bud Light.
I'm not opening another day." And then day 5 is dinner.
Was actually, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Packaged for the first
people
time
away.
in distribution to Cincinnati, and I would have thrown it all away.
And it's in the trash now.
Are there any unicorn beers that either aren't in distribution, aren't packaged, or maybe don't even exist anymore besides that's not an actual word.
Sure.
Besides Urbans that you would love to put in the box if somehow the stars aligned and everything worked out?
I mean, if everyone could start like a GoFundMe page and get me a trip to Belgium, I would happily go to West Vleteren and get all that in the box.
That'd be cool.
It would be.
That'd be cool. Well, hey, we will put a link to the GoFundMe page in the show notes, and just people start contributing because we need this to happen.
Yeah.
We absolutely.
If we get enough, all 3 of us can go.
There we go. I'm down.
I'd be
Margaret
down.
can fit in the carry-on and put him in the overhead. No one will know he's there. I think we're like the same height. It's fine. Oh, what else? Before we move into just a couple minutes about Dry January, because that's another big thing that's happening, or that happens right after Beervent. Anything else about the Beervent box this year? Like, did you get a favorite complaint about the Beervent box, a favorite compliment, a favorite something, or even just anything in general that you want to make sure people who maybe still don't understand the Beervent box?
Was this past year the biggest number of Beervent boxes?
No, it was smaller.
It was smaller?
This is yeah. The last 2 years have gone down a little bit. So it's definitely, again, part of the reason why I'm price conscious and hope to lower the price of the box next year. I think with all the after effects of COVID and inflation and all that stuff, I think a lot of people are sort of tightening the belts financially and not wanting to spend $130 on a box of beer, even though it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
I get that. So it was definitely one of the lower years in terms of number of sold. So I would like to see it grow more. There's still a max that we're ever going to do, which is what we were at 2 years ago. I would never go above that because just logistically it's a nightmare and we don't have enough space to go bigger than that. So no, it was lower. But then as far as what people should know, or like one of the best things I've got, I did get multiple emails from people who had said like, hey, just wanted to say thank you. This box was awesome. I did it with my son or with my brother, and it was just such a good way for us to like stay connected through the holidays. So like if you have anyone in your family or friend group that likes beer, this is like such a good present, and it's not just a present for them. Like if you get one for yourself and for them, now it's just like an easy thing for you guys to hang out and discuss. One of the guys was telling me they would just like wait until Friday, and then every Friday their friend group would just like meet up and drink all
The
7
past
of them
week.
together.
Oh, that's
So
fun.
so yeah, they would do that. So I think it's a cool way to not just experience new beers, but also to just connect with people. And
Yeah, it's furthering that community.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's so much about, it's around what this craft beer space, talks about. So that's great.
Yeah. So to transition from kind of what you were saying, people being more cost conscious and not spending their money the way that maybe they have in the past, dry January is a fairly hard time for a lot of bars, breweries, bottle shops. You guys have seen it for the past few years. I feel like this year there's been a lot more talk about it. Like, oh, is dry January a thing? To which in my head, I'm going, hasn't it been a thing for quite a long time? Is there something different about dry January this year that you've seen or kind of heard that hasn't been present in previous years?
I mean, I don't think it's just the dry part. It's just January in general. People get cold and they don't want to move anywhere. And especially like in a city like Cincinnati that's so dependent on driving.
Yeah.
People, once there's any kind of inclement weather, people don't want to get out. Like I spent a couple of years in Chicago, and if it was pouring down snow or pouring down rain, people just throw on the right gear and they go out anyway. It doesn't interrupt your life. Whereas here,
It does.
we let it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just don't go out as much in January period. And then you have the people that are not drinking anymore during January. So both of those things combine to make January really tough. And we're coming out of probably one of the worst years, at least in the last 30, 40 years in the industry, where a lot of people are really hurting. I think I saw a stat yesterday, or maybe it was today, that 45 different restaurants and bars closed in 2024 in Cincinnati. And,
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's a big
I know
number
there've been
for such
lot,
a
but
small
that's-
city.
That is a huge number. Yeah.
So everyone's kind of already struggling anyway. And if you were holding on and now you're going into January, it's going to get real, real tough. And I think that 45 number is going to continue to climb for a little while. So just keep in mind, even if you're not drinking or even if you're trying to tighten the belt a little bit financially, like don't completely forget about your favorite places. If we're one of your favorite places, come out. We've got like 2 whole shelves of non-alcoholic
like a ton
beer.
of NA options, yeah.
We've got CBD seltzers, THC seltzers. We have kombucha on draft. We have
Coffee.
root beer, and now Summit Park is full service coffee. So we have plenty of options for you if you're not drinking. So you don't have to say no to your social life. You can still go out. And then as far as like financially goes, we are trying our best to always have options for like a pint that's $4 at happy hour or less than that at happy hour. So we're trying to make sure we have financially conscious pricing on some of our items. Now, obviously, we're a bottle shop and we do focus on a lot of premium craft beer. So not everything's going to be that way, but we want to make sure there are options to do that. And then if we're not your favorite place, go visit whoever is.
Yeah,
because if you don't visit now, you're going to be complaining in March when your favorite place is no longer there anymore. So
I was trying to think of a more brewery specific, but anywhere that is local that has not posted about their non-alcoholic options, I can't think of a single place that doesn't offer something. And I'm not just talking about, Coke and Sprite and water, but an actual beverage that has the drinker in mind. So NA beers or mocktails, that type of thing. Everywhere around here has that. So you should not stop visiting your local bottle shops and breweries just because you are cutting back on drinking for January. There are so many amazing options now. I think the NA beer, even this year last year to this year, the quality's gotten a lot better. It used to just taste absolutely awful. I still don't like Athletic. I know that that's the biggest one, and I think that might be mostly due to its accessibility. Just it ships everywhere, but something about the taste.
I think it's accessibility and their branding too.
True.
I think they've done a good job on branding, but there's a ton of different beer options out there. Like right now, I'm drinking a beer from a brewery called Wellbeing, and a lot of their beers have like electrolytes added to it, and so it's actually really good beer. This is a wheat that I'm drinking, and it's super citrusy, really well done. If you put this and another wheat side by side, I don't know that I could have told you which one had alcohol in it.
Nice.
So there's a lot of good options out there. Urban Artifact has their seedless series. And then again, the CBD and THC market is blown up too. So there's plenty of options there as well. And then, come out, have a pint. If you used to do it 3 times a week, but you're trying to tighten that financial belt, maybe come out once a week. Or, if you're going to drink beer at home to save money, Kroger doesn't need your money.
Right.
These us and other small bottle shops, come buy a 6-pack from us. It's the same price. We sell at state minimum retail on all our packs, so you won't pay any different price here than you would at Kroger. Stop by and spend your money here. Kroger sells enough toilet paper and chicken and all that kind of stuff.
Kroger's fine regardless of what
they're doing
selling.
okay. Yeah. So
now, do you guys have a mocktail program at either location, or is that something that you guys have thought about? I know that's again additional cost to bring in non-alcoholic spirits, that type of thing. But I think that's the only thing I haven't seen Higher Gravity mention when they're talking about the non-alcoholic options.
Yeah. So we don't have like a program, so to speak. Now, especially here in Summit Park, we get a lot of kids that come in. So like we have played around with mocktails that don't use non-alcoholic spirits, but for example, we make a really good like kids margarita that will use orange juice instead of triple sec and stuff like that. And it tastes pretty damn good. So if you're looking to have a cocktail, a lot of our people can still make you a drink that will taste like and make you feel like, even without that spirit, that non-alcoholic spirit in there, we can still come up with something. And then our bar staff down in Northside, like Jake, for example, he's cocktail focused. So if you ask him for something, he'll come up with something pretty good for you.
Yeah.
And it's there, it's an option, but it's not like on the menu or anything like that. So yeah.
Nice. Do you have a favorite non-alcoholic beverage so far? Or non-alcoholic beer, I guess I should specify, that you've brought in that you weren't expecting to like? Or is it just kind of what you're drinking in the moment tends to be what you think is the best?
I mean, my most frequent go-to is the Guinness Zero. It tastes almost exactly like Guinness.
Yes.
It's just like slightly sweeter. So if you put them side by side, you can tell the difference. But again, it's just slightly sweeter. The rest of the flavor profile is like almost spot on, right?
Well, the mouth feels the same too, which I think in a lot of the non-alcoholic darker beers that are out there that I've tried, they're too thin. There's the body isn't there. But yeah, Guinness Zero is pretty damn close.
So I like that. My wife and I did like dry January and February last year, which we were talking about before we started the pod. It was like a terrible idea. I thought I was going to feel better. I thought I was going to sleep better. I thought I was going to lose weight. None of those things happened.
You just got angrier and angrier.
And it's we're in football season, college basketball season's like now we're in conference play, so college basketball is really taken off. And then you've got Premier League too, which I watch a ton of Premier League. And watching all those games without like a good beer it's awful to me. So being able to have like that Premier League Guinness, even though it was 0, being able to have that Guinness sitting there with me just made it so much easier to do, and I didn't feel like I was missing out. So that one's probably my favorite. But then I also have really liked all the THC seltzers that are coming out. Urban Artifacts Costalo series is
fantastic.
incredible. 50 West just came out with their Sunflower series, and those are delicious. So if you're into that, and if you don't have a job that prohibits that, definitely recommend checking out any of those offerings in there.
I do want to put like that slight disclaimer, just something that you just said. The THC beverages, you will still have a form of inebriation when you consume them, much as if you're drinking alcohol. So please just know yourself, know how you're going to react to it, and just be careful when you're trying them for the first time.
Yeah, and they definitely make me sleepy, which alcohol doesn't necessarily do. So if you've never tried them before and you want to try them at home first.
Yeah.
See how you react, because we will kick you out if you fall asleep at the bar.
There you go. Noted. That's why I get a coffee when I get here every time now. That way there is no issue whatsoever.
There you go.
There you go.
Just both vices right on the same table.
Oh, man. So that's kind of one interesting non-topic related question. I've been to a brewery before that would not sell the same person alcohol and one of their off-the-shelf THC products. Is that something that Higher Gravity tries to keep their consumers separated? Like, hey, if you come in and you're drinking beer and then you bring up a Costalo to open up to drink in-house, we're not going to let you mix? Or do you just say, hey, you're an adult and hopefully you know what you're doing? And
I mean, everyone buying these things are adults, and there are laws in Marco. You probably know more than I do on this, but there's laws you can't mix them in the same glass, right? Like you couldn't put it in the same product. But if somebody's going to drink them separately, then perfectly legal to do. And then our job as bartenders everywhere in every establishment is to make sure people are being safe. So if we see someone who chugs beer and then chugs a Costalo and they are like very visibly inebriated, we're not going to give them another or let them have another. We're going to make sure they're getting home safe. And being where we're at, a lot of people are going back upstairs because we have apartments above our heads. So like we know who lives here and we know who's getting in cars too. So we like really try to make sure that we're paying attention to that and making sure people are doing the right thing. But again, people are adults and we can't control everything, but we try to do the best we can to keep people safe. So
absolutely. I guess to close out, since good God, this is almost 45 minutes already. What else do you want people to know about Higher Gravity, either Summit Park, Northside, just in general? I mean, I'm sure there's a handful of people that still have never been to either location. Why? I don't know. If you're listening to us, surely you've been here before.
Yeah, I mean...
But still,
you
never know. Maybe first-time listener, and this is going to be the first episode. So what else do you want to shout out about Higher Gravity? Anything in general? Anything at all?
Yeah, I mean, couple things, I guess, real quick. So our Northside store, we've been open for about 8 years now. Focus, as it always has been about great craft beer and creating a great fun space and atmosphere for people to come enjoy beer, enjoy some games, do all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't been down on Northside in a while, come visit us. There's a lot of fun bars around as well. So it's an easy place to go hopping around or grab some food from any of the awesome spots on Northside there and then bring it into our bar. Right now, City Beat is doing their like annual Best of Cincinnati.
Yep.
You're going to find that thing littered with Northside restaurants. Go grab some food from one of those places, bring it in with us and have a beer. And then Summit Park, I think it's very similar to what we have down in Northside. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the beer piece. We are a little more cocktail focused up here in Summit Park. So tons of cocktails here. It is a door district, so you can get cocktails, beer, wine, liquor all in your door cup and then go enjoy the park.
Which is fantastic to do, by the way.
Yes.
It sure is. But then also we are now a full service coffee shop. So most days we open at 7:30 in the morning. We have an awesome barista who is here 5 days a week, and he's got a couple proteges who he's been training One of them is me. I've always loved coffee, but I had never made it commercially. So getting training from Zach has been awesome. He is a former barista. He's still a barista, but he's been doing it for a while. He's a certified machine technician to work on espresso machines. He's also been a roaster around Cincinnati, so he really, really knows his stuff. There's not a lot of coffee shops that you're gonna always go into and find someone as well versed as he is. So our coffee program is awesome. Stop by, try some. Let him play around with some latte art for you. He does some really cool stuff. So come get some coffee. Come hang out at any time of the day. And when coffee opens, so does the bar. So feel
if you're
free
a third shifter that just wants a beer before you head home,
Exactly.
you can do that at 7:30 in the morning. Is it 9 now?
7:30.
7:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
8 o'clock on
That's what I was thinking about.
Sundays.
So just right now in January for winter hours, we're doing 9 a.m. on Sunday and Mondays. But our
Okay.
normal hours would be
7.
8 o'clock on Sundays, but then every other day is 7:30.
Okay.
And then also just on the morning hours too, we are open. We have great TV set up. So we've got Premier League games going on. We are now the official Man City bar, which they just crossed their threshold in terms of number of members. So they are a certified, recognized
Oh, fantastic.
group by the club over in England. So
Wow.
as much as it hurts my soul to host Man City as a Liverpool fan, they are a really fun group. Everyone in the group is super nice. And so we're hosting them, but we can also put on any Premier League game at any time. I'm in here watching Liverpool games a lot. So come on out for drinks, coffee, whatever, and come watch some soccer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All the sports. There have been some very random sports on the games sometimes, in between seasons, where you'll have something from ESPN College. What was that? Tabletop. It wasn't tabletop tennis, but it was.
What were we watching?
I don't even know.
For a while during COVID, we were
bizarre.
showing marble racing.
Oh my God, Yellow's Marble Runs. I love that channel so much.
That was that
It
guy.
is fantastic.
I don't know why he's not a professional announcer somewhere.
Greg Woods.
Is that what his name
Everybody-
is?
Greg Woods.
Okay.
His voice is so perfect for that. I don't watch every single Marble League event like I used to, but man, I still funnel racing is one of my favorite. The
Yeah.
sand races.
UFL.
UFL. I'm wearing my Battlehawks hoodie.
And we've been
Starts in March.
we've been getting more into lacrosse up here too. 'Cause
Nice,
my
okay,
son plays
okay.
lacrosse here in Sycamore. So we've had a couple lacrosse watch parties for some of those games and stuff, and we haven't really done much with the PLL. But we've had a couple watch parties for Duke and Notre Dame lacrosse games and stuff like that that have been pretty fun too. So yeah, lots of sports.
Excellent. Well, I would like to suggest that on Friday, March 28th, I think it is. I forget what time. I think it's either 7 or 8 in the evening. Battlehawks opening up the UFL season with the first game. If you want to show it on the TVs, I will
Hell
be
yeah.
up here drinking and going caca. Even though they released AJ McCarron, which I'm still mad
Did
about.
they really?
They did. And he is mad about it. He's like, I want to get on another team that plays them twice and shows them what they're missing.
Oh wow.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, Jason, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you
That's
for
awesome.
putting together amazing Beervent boxes year
Yes.
after year after year. Thank you for working with Nick and just making an absolutely fantastic space now with both locations for whatever you want to drink, from coffee to non-alcoholic beverages and beyond. And we'll go ahead and let you get back to your regularly scheduled program, and we'll catch you guys soon.
Cheers.
Appreciate
See ya.
it. Cheers.
Cheers.